Yes.
Yeah.
Good to go.
Well, hello everyone. I'm glad to have you along with us. I'm going to be talking with Donnie Bryant today about his contribution to my two-book set, Entrepreneur Mind Hacks. And Donnie is a copywriter. But before we get into all that, before I introduce you to Donnie, I like to do this fun little get-to-know-you game. I've got 5 questions I'm going to ask Donnie, and Donnie gets to respond with little short answers, just either or. And that'll give us a little insight into his personality. Maybe, we're going to psychoanalyze him or something like that. All right, Donnie, you game?
As long as you don't pull any fast ones.
No, I'm good. This is all straight up. All right, you ready? Here we go. Facebook or Twitter?
Twitter.
All right, I thought that would be your answer. Nachos or salad?
Oh, golly. Salad.
Oh, wow. Surprised me. Cookie or cake?
Cookie.
All right. Movie or video game?
Movie.
And present or future?
Present.
Hey, good job. Good job. No right answer, but obviously, good to get to know you a little bit that way. And Donnie is as I said, he's a copywriter. You can find out all about Donnie at Donnie-Bryant.com. Is Bryant with a T on the end. And some of the things that Donnie has said about himself I thought were very interesting. He says marketing and copywriting are not simply jobs for him, they're a calling. So we're going to ask him about that. And then he also believes that marketing is not about making money and that copy is not the most crucial part of your marketing message. So we'll ask him about those things too. And then this was like a bold thing right out there in front of you. Donnie says he's going to be the most generous guy you know. So I introduced to you Donnie Bryant. Donnie, welcome to the conversation here.
It's my pleasure to be here, and thank you so much for allowing me to contribute to your book and to hang out with you on air here.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun. Now, Donnie, tell us what you mean when you say marketing and copywriting is not simply a job; it's a calling.
I'll make it super short. I do believe that we're all on this planet for a reason. We're not always sure how to communicate and share that reason with other people, the people that we can help, which also connects to the other thing about marketing not being about money. Marketing is really about taking the gifts that we have, the talents we have, the experience that we have, and the knowledge that we have, and connecting with people who have needs that we can help with, that we can solve for them. So I believe it's my calling to help people basically communicate what they can give to the world, to the people in the world who need that help. So for me, it's a calling. I've tried to quit, found that I can't do it. I tried, couldn't do it. So that's why I say that.
So why did you try to quit? What was going on in your life?
You know what? It was seeming like we were talking about burning the candle at both ends, and I cut a hole in the wax in the middle. Was burning at 3 places.
Oh wow!
And just kind of using a lot of energy, and I didn't feel as if I was making the progress that I wanted to, and letting my ego getting in the way and thinking I should be above certain things. It just kind of wore me out over time.
Sure, that makes sense.
You know what? I'm gonna just find something else to do, and I probably went for 2 months, and it's like this is what I know, this is what I love to do, and as a writer, a copywriter, it's something I've always loved to do, and it just seemed like, okay, an opportunity will come, and I say, well, is this what God would have for me? And it just seemed like it was right. So, and he pulled me back in this direction, and he's making a way for me. So
yeah,
that's kind of how that's worked for me.
Well, good. That's great. In terms of adjustments you had to make, I know this isn't our topic. We'll get to the topic in a minute, but I'm sure you had to make some adjustments in your life and your work habits and things like that to be able to kind of get back into it without burning the candle at 3 places again. So what did that look like?
It's a lot of times it looks the same, but it's just being a little bit more mindful about, what I have to put in and focusing on priorities. Like you talk about Facebook versus Twitter. Sometimes you don't get to do either, unless that's where you're making you're really making the impact and making your revenue as a business. There's no playtime on those days you got bills to pay. So I don't spend a lot of time on Facebook. I really don't spend as much time on Twitter as it probably seems. I have some automation, and if I'm sitting on an elevator,
Yeah.
I might send a tweet out. I probably spend 30 minutes a day
Mm.
on social media in total. Some days it's a little bit more. Some days I don't use it at all. So it averages about 30 minutes. So it's really not that much because I really don't make a whole lot of money from that. It's just me trying to share things I find useful.
Sure.
That's kind of
Sure.
like I guess if I had to boil it down, it's just focusing on what's really going to make a difference uh, and getting me towards my goals and the things I think are important.
Sure. Sure. Now that's a pretty bold claim you make on your website that your desire is to be the most generous guy that I know. So tell me about that. Why do you say that?
I I don't know how to turn off. Period. I guess I have people will send me an email. I could tell you story after story about people who have sent me an email just asking advice or asking a question or saying, "Would you take a look at this thing for me?" And I have no reason to believe you'll ever pay me for it.
Mm.
I have a hard time saying no. Um, so there's generosity in that because I'm always trying to share. In this conversation, if you said, Donnie, what's 10 things I could do to sell this better? I'm not going to say, well, my retainer fee is X, Y. It's not what it is. I'll say, let me give you my best just because you asked and I want to give.
Mm.
And also, I think, I share. I have a newsletter, and I don't spend a lot of time on my blog, but my newsletter, I feel like it's really great information, and I invest a lot of time in that. It doesn't cost anybody anything, and something like 1 out of 20 people who read it will ever even ask me about working with me. I don't primarily do it to make money. I very, very rarely sell anything from it either. I'm just educating and offering different perspectives, different ways of looking at things, and trying to help people create a worldview that's conducive to, being all you can be and making the biggest impact you can make the way that I know how. So for me, it's like I'm going to educate, even if I'm not getting anything out of it monetarily, and I'm going to help in any way that I can. Pretty much anybody who I can help. My
Mm.
wife sometimes will say, "Are you billing?" And I have to give her that look like, "No, I'm not." But I think giving is better than receiving, as long as my lights are on,
Yeah.
and there's food on the table.
I
I
totally get that.
keep giving.
Yeah.
That's what
Yeah.
we're here.
And it's one of those things. I mean, there's that biblical principle: give, expecting nothing in return, and those kinds of things, and it will be poured into your lap, good measure,
Right,
pressed down, shaking over. I mean, I believe in that. I believe that and it's not a law of karma or anything like that.
right,
It's just the way God made the world to work.
right.
And
I totally agree with that, and in so many ways, I've received freely, so I should give freely.
yeah, yeah, I'm with you on that. I'm with you on that. Now, you were also a contributor to an Amazon bestseller. Tell us about that.
Wow. Creating business growth. I did it with there's 21 other people from my mastermind group, which I call my international secret society. Um, cool, very, very smart people. And we all just put together some of our best marketing ideas, the ways to grow your business. And everybody contributed a chapter and then promoted it. And I believe we're a bestseller. We reached bestseller status in eight countries.
Wow.
Yeah, so we're pretty proud of that.
Yeah.
And again, I probably will never make a dime off of that. That was never the idea. We really wanted to impact business people, educate them, and of course we might get some residual, followers and some additional attention. And I can say I've contributed to a bestseller,
Yeah.
which that sounds pretty great. Uh, so but I haven't gone around bragging about that because I know if I did it by myself, probably, the chance of being a bestseller were much lower. But just because I think all of us are very generous and high integrity guys, just trying to be uh, helpful and useful to business people out there.
Mm-hmm.
Thank
Mm-hmm.
you for asking, by the way.
Yeah, you're welcome. And that's available on Amazon, I'm assuming.
Yeah, and it's a really expensive book that's been marked down by Amazon's prerogative, so it's pretty affordable. I think
Yeah.
the retail cost is something like is 50 plus.
Wow.
but there's an $80, or not $80, 80% discount on it, so you can get it for $12 or something.
Wow.
12, $15. So it's like 300 pages. You get it well, the ebook is cheaper, but the paperback is like $60. And it's 350 pages or so.
Wow.
Lots of
That's
good
like a
ideas.
novel. You guys wrote a business novel. That's
Yeah,
amazing.
yeah. Well, with 21, 22 contributors, none of us had to do too much work except for Stephen Drew, who pulled the whole thing together. He kind of like you had to put everybody's thoughts into a cohesive volume. Uh,
Yeah. Yeah, it's quite an undertaking, that's for sure. All right, well, let's dive into your content that you shared in the book. Your contributions in book number one, the book that's about productivity and creativity, and you entitled it "Discover Your Own Rhythms." Give us just a thumbnail. What do you mean when you say discover your own rhythms?
we've all heard that the early bird gets the worm or catches the worm, right? Um, but eagles don't eat worms, do they? Eagles eat fish, and they catch them. They catch them in the noonday. Everybody, I believe, everybody is different in multiple ways. And speaking from personal experience, being an early bird doesn't work for everybody. And like I said, I know that in my own personal case, I'm much more productive later in the day. And I think that's true for everybody. You had to find the time of day that you're most productive, that you're most energetic, you're most able to focus, and work that into your life rather than feeling like you need to force yourself to be an early bird, um, because you've heard a bunch of people say that it's smart. I think that the good thing, or the wisdom behind the early to bed or early to rise thing, is finding time when you can focus. A lot of times that's early in the morning, when before the buzz, all the buzzing around of the house and everything, all the bustling is the word I was looking for. Before all of the bustle, is early in the day. And the second thing is just being disciplined about how you conduct yourself. But you don't have to be disciplined about getting up early. Be disciplined about blocking off your highest value time. And I think that's different for everybody, but you got to find it for yourself.
Yeah, yeah, I agree. Now, how did you come to that conclusion in your own life?
It's interesting. This was years ago, before I was even in the entrepreneurial space. I was reading the collected sermons of John Wesley, and he talked about finding out, like, I can't remember which sermon it was, but finding out how long you should sleep. And he said you kind of test in 15-minute increments because everybody has a different need for sleep. And I said that's fascinating. So let me try and find out, do I need 8 hours? Can I get by with 5 hours? When I was young, I could do it with five, and in high school I tried it many times. But becoming an adult, it was really important for me to find out how to structure my day so that I could, be awake and alert when I needed to be, and then maintain that endurance through the day. Because it'd be really easy to get 3 hours of sleep, have a great morning, and sleep through the rest of the day. And my wife is, I want some love here, and my kids
Yeah,
want help with the homework. What's the best way to spend your time and to structure that? So that introduced me to the idea that everybody's not the same when it comes to sleep, and just kind of developed over that concept.
mm,
We need different amounts of sleep. I don't care what scientists say. We're all unique, and maybe the variance is not that big, but the only way you'll know for sure is to try it. And
mm,
then again, me trying to be an early bird because that's what you know common wisdom seems to tell us. It didn't work for me. It didn't work for me, especially as I got into my 30s. Um, I need to sleep in a little bit later. My body likes to sleep in a little while, and when I force myself to get up at 4 a.m. or 5 a.m. so that I could have a couple hours before the rest of the house is, noisy, I just found that I would ruin the rest of my day and not be
mm.
particularly productive. Whereas if I got up at 8, even though there's a little bit of noise in my house, if I lock the door and kick everybody, or when the kids are in school, um, I would have so much better focus, much more energy, and I didn't have to take a nap at noon or
Yeah,
3. I could last through the day. So it was just kind of toying with my own scheduling to find out what worked for me.
Yeah. Well, one of the statements that you made in the part that you submitted was very intriguing to me. You said energy management is just as important as time management. Um, Why I had never thought of that before. Can you expand on that a little bit?
And that's honestly not my original idea either. Tony Schwartz, I think maybe it was in Forbes, maybe it was in Inc. magazine, or on the website. He had a series of videos where he was talking about that very thing, working in a way that work that works. I think he wrote a book about it. I never read it, so sorry, Mr. Schwartz. But the idea that you could manage your time perfectly. Oh, you know what? My nighttime is perfect scheduling. I know exactly what I'm going to be doing from 3 a.m. to 8 a.m. is perfectly scheduled. I'm just going to be sleeping,
Yeah.
but I'm not productive at that time. So figuring out when you have the energy to do what you need to do. If you're a professional athlete, it's going to be different from a guy who sits at a desk all day. And every individual is unique as well. So it's primarily about finding out when you do your best work. It could be early, it could be midday, it could be late in the evening. Like me, I really have a better time creating and thinking clearly and having energy after 9 or 10 o'clock in the evening. For some reason, that works for me. And trying to fight it just seems goofy.
Yeah, yeah, it's really interesting. I'm probably on the other end of that spectrum, but the same concept applies because I've discovered that if I generally try to work, I don't know, 8 to 5 or 9 to 5 or whatever, I mean I can do it, but I hit the sleepy lull in the afternoon and all of that. But if I get up much earlier, I can even work longer hours and not be sleepy. It's really weird. So I get up 4:30ish, and I'm done by 5 in the evening, and then the whole evening's free to be with family, and I'm in bed by 10, and I'm still getting. I mean, talking about amount of sleep, 6 hours seems to be about right for me, and I don't know why. But
Right.
that when I sleep longer, I'm draggy. When I sleep less, I can't keep my eyes open.
Yeah, that's one thing we tend to notice also. You think I slept 10 hours, I should be extra rested, but
Yeah.
it's not that way because you're the way, however the body rhythms work. I'm not a scientist in that respect. It just doesn't work that way because otherwise, you could just do that and be rested, but you got to find the right amount of sleep for you, and trying to work that into your schedule. Scheduling our time. This is something I'm not great at, but structuring your day is a way to be much more productive. If you
Sure.
block off the times you're going to do the things you got to do, the sleep should be included. What times work best for you for your energy? What times work best for you with the other things that are going on in your life? And how much time do you actually need for sleep? Think through all of those things, rather than just taking for granted. I need 8 hours. You might be wasting 2 hours a day, like you said. You only need 6 hours, and you're feeling great at 6. Sleeping an extra 2 hours would be to your detriment.
Yeah.
So you got to find out what works, how you're built, find out how
Yeah.
you're made up.
Yeah, it's funny because my 11-year-old daughter asked me today. I don't know why today of all days, but she asked me, "What time did you get up?" And I told her 4:30, and she said, "And you were working until now?" And it was breakfast time. I said, "Yeah." She said, "You do more before breakfast than most people do, in their whole day."
Right.
I said, "Well, I might because that's the best time for me to work, And so you do most of your work in the evening, correct?
Right. I do.
Yeah.
I do my best work. I do a lot of busy work in the daytime, but I also, errands that need running. It's much more conducive for me to do it during business hours anyway than
Sure.
to try and cram it in after regular business hours. You
Mm-hmm.
know, the kids get home from school. I get to be there. I don't have to be locked in the room. My office is in my bedroom, but I don't have to be distracted by work. I just say, hey, welcome the kids home. Go in the book bags and see what they're bringing home, and make sure they're acting properly in class. I can do that because I have some busy work time, not creative work time scheduled during the
Yeah.
afternoon. The creative stuff is later, so that's when you don't want to be interrupted from your flow. I know
Yeah.
if you talk to Dan Krask, I think
Yeah. Yeah.
in his segment in the book he says he gets up early and when he gets up and gets started right away, that's when he has his best day. Um, and you know, a lot of people will tell you that. I don't disagree with him, but it's just finding what works for your unique, you know, build.
Yeah, yeah. And I don't know if you've had a chance to look at it, but there's a chapter I put in the book that's really kind of just a regurgitation of some study work that a professor at I think he's at Caltech, Cal Newport is his
Right.
name,
Yeah.
um, and he writes about this, the difference between what he calls knowledge work and creative work. And knowledge work is that busy work stuff you were talking about, and he says
Right.
you don't necessarily need long periods of uninterrupted time. You can get interrupted and still get all that done. But for creative work, you need those long blocks so you can get into that flow, like you said. What are your thoughts on
That's
all?
You know, I agree with it, and we all kind of know it to be true. We maybe just never thought about it in those terms. There's some stuff that you can do. You know, you can watch TV and do some things.
Yeah,
You know, however you feel about television. I don't watch a ton of it, um, but you know, if you're writing or you're coding or you're painting, whatever it is that your thing is. Well, you know, painting a wall is different from painting a portrait.
yeah,
But whatever your thing is, you know, if it's a creative thing, you got to have uninterrupted focus if you want to be really great at it. So I think that's important. Tony Schwartz, the guy I mentioned about the energy management thing, he kind of said the same thing. We shouldn't think of ourselves as machines where you work 8 hours straight or even 4 hours, take a lunch in 4 hours. You kind of have, I think he says 90-minute segments,
hmm,
and you go at it really hard for 90 minutes and take 15 minutes and give your brain a break, give your body a little bit of a rest. I would say that number could be different also. Eugene Schwartz, you know, said 33 minutes. You do it for 33 minutes, take a 5-minute break, and go back at it. You just
hmm,
again, you find what works for you. If you can focus really well for 60 minutes, and then you find yourself consistently, you know, you need a break, then maybe that's just how your body works.
yeah,
And think about it in terms of managing your energy. I need to work 90 minutes. Leave me alone. The world needs to be shut off. Give me 90 minutes to work, and then I can take a little bit of a break when you're being in your creative, you know, work time, and then, you know, kind of manage it that way rather than say, oh, I gotta make it till lunchtime. You know, like when
yeah,
you're punching your clock, your boss doesn't want you, you know, taking a break every 90 minutes. He wants you to work for, you know, however, if you got an 8-hour shift, you go from 9 until lunchtime, and then from lunchtime to the end of the day. If you're being creative, it's not always the way that it works. You
yeah.
know that as an author, when you're writing your books, you can't do that when you're doing anything else.
Mm,
You have
mm,
to be in a quiet room and be able to write and think and visualize how the story is playing out.
yeah,
You can't do that while you're doing other things. And you may be able to write for 6 hours straight. I can't do it.
mm, mm. Yeah.
You know,
No,
but if you
I'm
do
two's
90
good.
minutes or an hour, yeah,
Yeah,
2 hours straight, and then you need a distraction,
yeah,
or you need a coffee break,
or a
or
walk or something.
a walk. And you know, walking is great for your brain anyway. Um, that's kind of the idea. I think Cal Newport is right. I find myself agreeing with a lot of the stuff that he's saying.
Yeah,
And Tony Schwartz, you know, I think he's right about it as well. Um, it's again kind of finding out what works best, what your body is built for, what your brain is built for, and we're all
yeah,
unique. We're all our own person. There's
yeah.
there's something special about each of us, and one of those things I think is kind of how we, you know, how our energy works.
Mm, mm. Let's switch gears here. I want to ask you about copywriting. I kind of teased it that we would ask some about that, and I am curious on a few levels. I mean, I don't necessarily want to know your best tricks or anything like that, but what is your philosophy behind copywriting? You said it's not necessarily the most crucial part of your message, so talk to me about that.
But tell me what I could write to sell, you know, steaks to a vegan.
Yeah,
I don't care how compelling what I have to say is, how compellingly I can write it. That they do not subscribe to a philosophy that allows them to eat what I'm selling.
yeah,
You can't sell ice to Eskimos in the proverbial sense. They've got tons of it. So the most important thing for anybody, you know, you don't have to be a copywriter to have a great product. Good copy will help, but what's really important is, uh, who you're talking to, and helping them get what they want, and then making sure you're communicating in those terms. So, in the old, there's an old, we call it 40-40-20 rule. 40% of the response of a direct mail piece. This is old thinking, so I mean the numbers may change a little, but 40% is the list of people that you're reaching, your audience. 40% of the response you get is going to be purely determined by who you're talking to. 40% is going to be determined by what it is you're offering and how you're offering it. Again, if I have Omaha steaks for the New England Patriots, celebrate your Super Bowl victory, have some steaks. 100% of them will probably take it, even if they're not going to eat it. They'll give it to somebody. But having the right audience, having an offer that's compelling, and only 20% is going to be determined by how I say what I got to say, and how I design, the layout of the letter or the page. Those things matter, but they don't matter as much as making sure you're talking to the right people about the right things. And I think that applies to anything. Gary Halbert's, he said, I love what he said. What is a boring way that you could, if your wife called you and said we're having triplets, it doesn't matter how she says it. The news itself is overwhelming to you and exciting to you, and there's no boring way of saying that.
Yeah.
You won the lottery. I can say it however I want. I don't play the lottery, but okay, somebody's giving you $1 million. You just have $1 million. You'll be excited. There's no boring way of saying that. So it's just making sure we get talking to the right people about the right thing, and then the other stuff, the copy and the graphic design and things like that. Not to disrespect anybody who's a graphic designer or a copywriter, but you can only dress up the wrong thing so much, or you can only sell something wonderful to people who don't want it so much. Very few vegans are gonna buy Omaha steaks. They're just, unless they have a carnivore best friend whose birthday's coming up.
Yeah, so you're talking about products to client match.
Right.
That's most important. I totally agree with you. I recently was doing. I'm no copywriter, but I recently did an email marketing campaign. And I'm still doing it. I do probably 10 to 15 emails a day I send out to potential people for my podcast production business, and it just seemed like a no-brainer to me. Where am I going to find people that need this service? Well, iTunes, naturally. So I go to iTunes. First category I pick is the business category. I go down the line, send emails to all of them. I mean, why am I getting such a good response? Well, the big part of it is because I'm talking to the right people.
Yeah, you're so right. That's reason number one, that when you donate money to a cause, any cause, you get 10 letters the next week from other charitable organizations, because they've determined that you are a giver. You're a person who likes to give. So now they know I'm going to send my letter to somebody who I know gives versus sending it to somebody who I have no idea. And you're like, well, I just gave. Why would you send me something? Well, they know that you're a giver, so that you're a hotter target than anybody else. And if you're giving right now, you might have extra money to give, which means now is the right time to give it to you. To make the offer to you. So they're going to send you the most compelling thing that they've got right when they know that you're giving. So they've determined the same thing as you. This is the person who has a need. I know that they're making podcasts, so we're already on the right track.
Yeah.
And you know that they're interested in doing a good job because they're on iTunes, and you have a compelling service to offer. I can help you do even better. I can help your production be cleaner. I can help it be easier, and you're going to be able to offer more value to your audience. That's what they want. That's why they're doing what they do. So you hit the nail right on the head.
Yeah, and I've even noticed some little variables inside that. Once I get into iTunes and I'm deciding who to send the emails to, there's shows that haven't put out a show for 3 years. But then there's others who put one out 6 months ago, and that was their last one. Well, to me, that's a hotter prospect, because they were consistent for a while, but they've dropped off, and maybe that's because they don't have the time anymore.
Right.
And I'm really selling time as much as I'm selling good audio. So
there you go.
Yeah. So finding that client to product match sounds like a no-brainer.
That's something we all need to think about. Like, if you got a crap, product, or you can't make a good offer on it. Like, if you sell the same thing as everybody else, now you have to sell for less or you have to add something else in order to make the offer good. So talk to the right people about the right thing, and give them the best offer, most interesting offer you can. And talk, like you said, you don't want to talk to somebody who they did one episode and quit.
Right,
they're
right.
not as invested in the thing. If somebody who you can tell that they tried at it and they hit kind of a bump in the road, they may be the most, that's a frustrating thing for them. If they invested time in producing and money in the equipment, they don't want to just throw that down the toilet.
Yeah,
So you're going to go and offer a solution. So if somebody's got a problem, they want to solve it, and that's what the name of the game. You're helping them get their time back, like you said, and
yeah,
and that's the only things that we're interested in when it comes to buying. We buy stuff to solve our problems and to help us get the things that we already want. You don't really make people want new stuff. You maybe put a different wrapper around it. You put it packaged differently, but you're selling them, I want my time back, or I want to have a great podcast. Um, but I need some help making that happen. I'm not sure what the next steps are. You didn't convince them that they wanted it. You're enabling them to do it through your service, to be
yeah,
helped along.
yeah. That's a great point. That's a great point. Well, Donnie, we're just about out of time here. Tell us again where people can find you online. What's the best way to connect with you?
My website is Donnie-Bryant.com. So it's a good place. I think I have, like I said, my newsletter, which I think is pretty generous, and I don't, like I said, I don't sell a whole lot. I'm not pitching you every time I come around. I'm trying to educate and really be a blessing to people and help you improve your communication skills and your business growth um, initiatives. And there's a contact page there if you needed to reach out on Donnie-Bryant.com. That's the easiest way. Like I said, I play around on Twitter. I always respond to people who send me a real message.
Yeah, yeah,
If you're giving me some crazy thing, I probably will ignore you. But if you say, "Hey, Donnie, I just wanted to reach out," I'll get back with you because I think that's important. I don't like being ignored, um, and I don't like to ignore people who are trying to talk. So those are, if you email me or send me a contact thing through the website, or Twitter is fine as well.
yeah. Well, that's great. That's great. Well, I put together this Mind Hacks book in part to put together a lot of wisdom and a lot of generosity from a lot of different folks, and in that, I want to make sure that those folks benefit. So I've asked Donnie if he would put his affiliate link to my books in the comment stream here. So if you're interested in checking out the books, please use Donnie's affiliate link. I want to see him benefit from this. So, Donnie, thank you for your time today.
Thanks for having me on. This has been a stimulating conversation.
Yeah, it's been good. Thanks, Donnie.
Hopefully, I didn't ramble for too long because I know we
No,
did go over time a little bit.
no,
All
not a problem.
right, thanks, Carrie.